Kate Mila-Falcha. Welcome to Irish Granny Helen. Welcome to new subscribers, returning subscribers, just welcome to all the subscribers. Make sure you're subscribed to every place you want to be, not just here. Strange happenings are afoot. I hadn't really intended to do this today, and then I read some news that I found very disturbing. I wanted to pursue this story. And before I start, I want to make it very clear because people can be quite sensitive. This is not an attack on any particular religious belief. This is a negative critique of theocracy. It's my opinion that no country, no people should be ruled by the religious views of one group. That goes against natural law. It goes against free will. So the skeleton of this story, the outline of it, the backbone of it, could apply almost anywhere. And if you're feeling like maybe a little uncomfortable that I'm criticizing by association your religion, I think that, there may be similarities. A theocracy is a theocracy. A theocracy is a form of government that imposes one strict set of religious ideological beliefs and practices on an entire country. I'll go for that. Okay, so this is a very difficult topic. I have spoken about the subject of this, Narges Mohammadi, and I hope I said that right. She is an Iranian activist, and she's also the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize in 2023. And I have done a couple of different videos about her over the years because she is a hero. She's one of my personal heroes who's still living. And I just admire her life's work so very much. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with her and by extension, how we need to pay attention to that today in the United States. So just to reiterate, this is not a critique of her country's religion per se. This is a critique of weaponizing a religion and creating a belief system to rule an entire population, especially when that belief system includes misogyny and authoritarian control. So Narges Mohammadi is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. For more than 2 decades, she's been an activist on behalf of women's rights and against capital punishment. Hard to believe that anybody would disagree with either of those things. She's been arrested again December 12th in Iran, for speaking out against the theocratic clerical authoritarian leaders. She was at a funeral and she made some sort of a speech and they arrested her. In early January, she went on a protest hunger strike. She was hospitalized, so you can assume that they force-fed her in some way. And then they sent her back to prison. Excuse me, that'll teach me to light sage. Reports are that she's been badly injured in beatings inside the prison. Now, for the sake of YouTube, I want to say that I'm going to be discussing violence against this particular person in the larger context of a political discussion. And this is all straight from The Guardian. It's in many places, but I liked The Guardian's coverage of it. She's suffering physical abuse and ongoing life-threatening mistreatment from both her arrest and while in detention. And it should be noted that she has a heart condition. She's not very old. She's in her early 50s, but years of being arrested and held in detention over and over. Her family lives in essentially what is exile. I would guess they probably consider it their home now, but they've been living in Paris for a long time. She has a husband and a couple of children. Her husband's name is, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing, Taghi Rashmani. I saw a picture of her daughter, who's pretty much fully adult, I think. I didn't take the time to research her family in any great depth. Her daughter looks just like her and seems to be a force to be reckoned with as well. She was standing in front of a group with a microphone. That's a good sign. She was moved from her original place of detention in December, went to the hospital, and in late January, she was moved to northern Iran, and neither her family nor her attorney were told. And, the obvious characterization of this is that they're trying to exile her. She was in a facility belonging to the intelligence ministry, but now she's somewhere in the north. She was moved Tuesday and was not able to talk to anybody until she got in touch with her attorney on Saturday. Since December, she's been allowed one call with her brother who lives in Iran and 2 calls with her lawyer. No contact with her family. So she spoke to her attorney of the violence inflicted on her, with extreme interrogations, severe blows to the head. She's suffering dizziness, blurred vision, double vision, and her lawyer was very upset. He said she has bruises and marks all over her. She was arrested before the protests broke out in December, the ones that ended in January after thousands were killed at the hands of the government. She's been given 6 more years in prison. They've been doing this to her every time she's just about done. They scoop her up and put her back in. 6 more years in prison for quote unquote harming national security, and a 1.5 years more for propaganda against the Islamic system. So what we have here is somebody being called a domestic terrorist for exercising her natural rights of speech and protest. Now she's 53, but she's been tried and jailed so many times for her unceasing campaign against capital punishment and for women, specifically human rights for women, and specifically against, and I did some research on this, against the hijab and chastity law. Now, once again, I want to reiterate, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody's particular set of religious beliefs. You believe whatever you want to believe. It's the imposition of it on other people that is the problem. So Narges has been protesting against this code. It's a dress code for women. Their hair has to be completely covered with the hijab, and then they wear a manto, which is a loose-fitting robe that is not allowed to be in any bright color. To hide their bodies, only their hands and faces can be exposed. If they get caught otherwise, they get fines, possibly imprisonment. They can get 5 to 15 years. They could be flogged, publicly flogged. Big fines. And then the morality police target them for increased surveillance. The government is using, pay attention, America, the government is using traffic cameras and an app system that they own to identify women who are driving in their cars without their hijab. There's intense social and political tension since 2022 because more women are defying this law, and there's been an increase in police crackdowns. A young woman was killed in 2022 while in custody. Well, not even while in custody, while they were hauling her off. And a very young woman, because she wasn't fully covered. She was covered, but not fully. Members of the public are encouraged to report on each other. Pay attention, America. They're called hijab monitors. It's a government reporting platform. Something I assume would probably be like ISIS phone you can call. Ali Khamenei, who is the supreme grand leader, I don't know, he said, this is a quote, "The hijab is crucial to preserve the dignity of women and to restrain very strong and sexual urges," and this has led to a crackdown. We're going to talk about this statement a little bit more. I'm not going to get into it too much, but I find this symptomatic. They arrested the organizers of a marathon recently for letting women run without being veiled, for violating public decency. So women, by their very presence, by their very appearance, visual ability to see them in public is indecent, according to this government. Women say, they interviewed a bunch of young women who are very brave, I have to say. "We do not care what he has to say. We never needed Khamenei's permission, nor do we need it now. We are running out of water." This is Iran. We have growing labor protests. We're in this war situation with Israel. And the hijab, that's an easy distraction. She said, the last time that there were mass arrests for the hijab law, she says they look like fools. More people are ignoring the police. The police have been weakened by war and sanctions. She says, "I could be pulled into the back of a police van at any time, but the plan is to push the boundaries collectively." For example, there's an all-women's motorcycle club. Women are not allowed to get motorcycle licenses in Iran. They're doing it anyway. The authorities lack the capacity to broadly enforce the hijab laws, especially because of international pressure. It's not a good look. The climate is fragile in Iran. Small provocation could trigger more unrest. In December and January, mass protests broke out because of a number of different things. The money system, economic collapse, social restrictions. People don't want to live this way. There were massacres of protesters. The internet was cut off. People are tired of authoritarian rule, the lack of human rights, the human rights violations, and the mandatory codes based on extremist theocratic interpretations of Islam. Now, this is not coming from me. This is coming from the people in Iran that they interviewed. They don't agree with this. They don't go along with it. This is not their form of religion. It's being imposed by a group of very old men. Now there's a militarized clampdown across the country. There's being a curfew being imposed, and it has resulted in a call for the end to the Islamic Republic. And the Islamic Republic is kind of an ironic title, kind of Orwellian, maybe a little bit like National Socialists was kind of Orwellian too. The government right now is ruled by Sharia law, and it's a theocratic government, not a republic. The ultimate authority is in the hands of religious scholars, the ultimate authority. The people may be thrown a bone, and they may go and cast a ballot, but the decisions are made by these scholars. They're called the guardianship of Islamic justice, and they feel that the government, the country must be ruled by divine law with Sharia as the legal framework in all aspects of public and private life. The supreme leader is chosen by a group of religious experts, not by a vote of the people, therefore not a republic. Although Iran claims it's a democratic republic, the people have no say, ultimately no voice. It is heavily theocratic. When one set of religious beliefs controls a nation, it cannot claim to be a democratic country. Power is vested in the people in a democracy. If individuals have no freedom of choice, freedom of what to say, freedom of what to wear, it's not a democracy. And it's especially repellent because, as with many theocratic systems, women are less than. They have fewer or no rights, and they're marginalized. And often, now this is where I told you I was going to talk about this a little bit. I don't want to cross boundaries with YouTube. I'm not a psychologist, this is my opinion. These ideologies have a real problem with women. And I think it's a convenient way to control half the population right away because of their genitals. Just makes it easy. But also, they have a toxic and conflicted relationship with sexuality, with social sexual norms. They have a real problem with it. I don't want to go into it too much, but it seems to underlie a lot of their motivations. Narges Mohammadi has been a beacon of hope. She's an example of courage, especially for Iranian women who are very vulnerable. And that's why the government wants to silence her. Let's be real. I want us to, whatever is your thing, pray, meditate, intention, journal about it, just put it out there into the field of information we live in, the ether, the energy, the universe. Pray for Narges that she has strength. She is willing to be a martyr in the fight for human rights. You have to admire that. This is what a true Nobel Peace Prize laureate looks like. And this is how a true Nobel Peace Prize laureate behaves. Thank you for listening. Now I feel better. I've gotten it off my chest. Slán go fóill. Sláinte.